So I'm Susie Jones. I'm co-founder and CEO of Cynch Security. So at Cynch, we are wholly focused on helping micro and small businesses to get on top of their cybersecurity. So when we talk about that, we talk about cyber fitness, because cybersecurity sounds very technical. It sounds really unapproachable. Whereas cyber fitness is all about gradual, incremental changes that you can make over time and do yourself. So it's really about empowering a small business owner to take control of their cyber risk. So my background, I was actually an insurance broker for 10 years and then moved out of that into broader risk management, digital risk management, etc. And found myself working alongside who is now my co-founder, Adam Selwood, within our previous employer on a project that was helping small business owners who had actually suffered a data breach and helping them to recover and that sort of thing. So throughout that project, we actually spoke to dozens of small business owners who had had what they described as the worst day of their working lives. So even once that project wrapped up, Adam and I said, well, this is the problem that we need to solve. So hence Cynch was born, and our cyber fitness platform is available now, and we have over 300 small businesses on there. Yeah, so cybersecurity is really, really important for a small business. It's important for any business. In fact, it's important for any individual, because these days, particularly in wake of COVID-19, every business has such a heavy reliance on technology. And as soon as you have a reliance on technology, then you have cyber risk in your business. We know from working in our previous lives in large corporates, when you do have a data breach or a security incident, it makes for a pretty bad week, maybe a bad month, but in the end, you can recover from it because you've got a team of people and experts there by your side. As a small business owner, if you have a data breach, it can literally be the end of your business. And not only that, but small business owners, their business is their identity. So often when you talk to mortgage brokers or lawyers, etc., those people that own their own business, they're really proud, and they should be, of the fact that they've built this business up from scratch. But technology is a huge risk for everybody. It can also be a massive enabler, but it's a risk that you need to manage just like any other risk within your business. In terms of the most common threats that small businesses are seeing, ransomware continues to be a big issue. So this is where you usually click on the wrong link or download the wrong software on your system. It locks everything up, and then you literally receive a ransom note asking you to pay Bitcoin before you get back your data. And the second most common is actually invoice scams of some description. So this usually comes from using the same password across multiple services. A cyber criminal will get hold of that and get into your email inbox and then start sending out intercepting emails for payments, invoices, etc. And they'll actually then impersonate you, redirect funds into their bank account, and you lose thousands and thousands of dollars. So those two alone are costing, particularly Australian businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Yeah, absolutely. So we conducted a large-scale small business cybersecurity survey last year, and that showed that 2 out of 5 small business owners had direct experience with having an incident. So it's happening all the time. According to ScamWatch and the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, there is an incident reported every 10 minutes in Australia. So this is happening all the time. If you're one of the lucky ones that have so far avoided it, consider yourself lucky, and that you're not. It's not that you're not a target. And the reason why you are a target is because Australia is, a very affluent country. Overall, we live a pretty good lifestyle here. There's a lot of money in our country. And so we are actively targeted by those that are not. Not only that, but there can sometimes be a common myth amongst small business owners that they think, but I'm so small, who's going to attack me? And it actually has nothing to do with that. It's not personal. The fact is, you're a business owner. If you have anything of value, then a cyber criminal wants to take that away from you. They attack the technology and they attack your industry. It's not personal. So there's nothing that personally about you that means that you're not a target. Yeah, absolutely. So whenever I'm asked, what's something that somebody can do today, there's a short list. So first of all, enable multi-factor authentication on everything. So particularly on your email, this is where you'll either get sent a code via text message or using an authenticator app on your phone before you can log into any service. multi-factor authentication is still one of the easiest and most effective controls that you can have in place to stop the wrong person getting access to your services. Secondly is using a password manager. This means that you can have a unique password for every different service that you use. It also means you don't have to remember anything other than the password to get into your password manager. And the encryption technology that sits behind a password manager means that it is far more secure than any algorithm or mental map that you may be able to put in place yourself. And the third thing I would say is check your backups. Make sure that you're doing regular backups. Daily is obviously preferred, or using cloud services, because if you get struck by ransomware, backup is going to be your best friend. Yeah, so there were a few fundamental things, and it's certainly our business was hit just like every other business across the country. So I think it was around about the 17th of March last year, we said goodbye to each other in the office and went home, picked up our laptops, opened up the next day, and from then we've been working home. So we actually haven't returned back to the office other than the odd day here or there when we've been allowed to, but we're lucky in that we were always set up to be a serverless business. So switching to remote working was pretty easy. The thing that was tricky about that was obviously supporting our team. So our team, we're a team now of 8 people, but at the start of the pandemic, there were 6 of us. And many of us either had kids at home and additional stresses through that, or in fact lived alone. And so making sure that the team was supported with regular phone calls and check-ins was really important last year to support the mental health of all of our team. From a business perspective, selling to small businesses when you're in the middle of a global pandemic and half the businesses in the country can't open, naturally put a massive revenue strain on our business. So there were several months where we didn't make any revenue, and that was just the way that it was. So we really focused on our product and also building our brand recognition. So the survey that I spoke about last year, we conducted that when we were right all in the middle of lockdown. And so that meant that we were able to push through, come out the other end at the end of last year. And, we've just published our white paper based on that survey. So, we were able to continue to build our brand and our reputation, as well as improve our product throughout that time. So now that the phones are back ringing, so to speak, we're certainly well placed to be able to springboard out of this. It was just myself and Adam right up until December 2019 when we got our first staff, and then increased that to 6 people by February 2020. And then we've just brought on 2 now. So not everybody is part-time. One thing we really embrace within Cynch is flexible working and having the right environment so that our team can succeed. So we've got a couple of casuals that work a couple of days a week. We've got a couple of permanent part-times that work set days a week, and then the rest are full-time. But we also allow anybody to work at whatever time of day that they want. So I'm a morning person, so I tend to be up and working pretty early, and I'm pretty fried by the afternoon. Whereas we've got some real night owls where they're committing in the background on our technology. To be able to bring the team together, we do have daily stand-up calls. We make them at 10 o'clock for those people that do like to sleep in. That's usually the first thing that they do in the day. For me, it's a couple of hours in, so that's interesting. But then we also have every 6 weeks, we bring the team together, physically together when we can, provided Melbourne's not in lockdown again. We bring the team physically together to do a bit of a retrospect over the previous 6 weeks, do our planning session for the next 6 weeks, but also just to get everybody face to face again so we can build those relationships and make sure that everybody's supported. I'm not massively a fan of remote working myself. I'd prefer to be in an office environment. But the main thing for me is just to make sure that no matter whether you're a remote worker or want to be in an office, that everybody feels connected to the rest of the team. Yeah, so we went out and started raising capital. I remember I announced that we were raising as of May 2019, and we closed our round at the start of November that year. One thing that we realised pretty early on was we were not the sort of business that the typical VCs here in Australia were interested in investing in, particularly not the stage that we were at. So we had only just launched our product, so you could virtually say we were pre-revenue even though we were making a few dollars. We're small business focused, and VCs are not particularly interested in selling to small businesses. Obviously, female founder as the spokesperson, that comes with its own challenges. So we very quickly realised that VCs were not the path that we wanted to go down. And so we began speaking to various different angel syndicates, and were introduced pretty quickly to scale investors. And Scale are just absolutely amazing. So they focus on investing in female-founded businesses, and the network that they have sitting behind them have just been incredible. So from the moment I pitched to them in July to when we closed around in November, they were just fantastic. And then, of course, COVID hit. So we hired our first staff over the next couple of months, and then COVID hit and really hit the bottom line for us in terms of revenue. So towards the end of last year, we went back and did a bridging round, and again, the investors behind Scale have backed us again. So we've raised in total around about 800,000 over the course of the last sort of 15 months. Which we're pretty happy with, considering the economic environment we've been in. But it's really, my advice is it's really about finding the right investors for your business who are going to believe in your vision and support you with the decisions that you make. So we have one of the Scale investors is our fellow board member, and she is terrific. She certainly challenges us when we need to be challenged, but otherwise she questions, and once she understands the decisions that we make, we just get on with it. So for us, that whole experience has been really positive, and certainly I had some of the most interesting conversations in my career throughout the time meeting VCs and angels across the country. So prior to starting our raise, we had completed the CyRise Accelerator, which is a cybersecurity specific accelerator here in Australia. And so going through that accelerator, we had created a lot of the artifacts that you need to be able to raise capital. So, we had a solid pitch deck, although any founder will tell you when they're raising, you still end up changing it 5,000 times throughout the process. Every time you have a conversation, you end up adjusting it. I also had many of the due diligence documents sort of lined up in the background. So from that perspective, we were largely set up. It also helps with my corporate background and governance experience just within our business. Even though when we first raised capital, it was just the two of us, we already had a lot of the processes in place that, investors want to see to make sure that you're going to avoid some of the more common mistakes. Other than that, the biggest thing that Scale have given to us is they've really opened their Rolodex and their network. So I regularly hear from various investors that sit behind the syndicate who invest in us, and they'll have either met somebody and referred them on to me, or have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So it's really just about having like-minded people who are just as passionate about solving the problem that we are. And let's face it, people that have the funds to be able to invest in startups usually are pretty successful themselves and have a pretty impressive network of people behind them. So our investors have certainly been very generous with their network.